Namma Metro had emerged as the major public transportation mode in Bengaluru after the green and purple lines extensions were fully opened. With daily ridership soaring past 8 lakh, crowded trains became a common sight in Namma Metro. However, after a crucial decision, ridership started falling and people opted for the personal vehicles over public transport. What caused this sudden shift? The recent fare hike by Namma Metro. On 9th February 2025, BMRCL increased the Namma Metro fares by 45 to 50%, while the minimum and maximum costs for Namma Metro were initially 10 rupees and 60 rupees. After the fare hike, the minimum fare of 10 rupees remained the same, but the maximum cost increased to 90 rupees. BMRCL's fares were revised according to this fare chart, in which different zones had different prices. We can clearly see how the fares significantly increased, particularly on the short distance routes. Discounts will be provided to smart card users or National Common Mobility Card users. 5% discount will be given during peak hours, 10% discount will be given during non-peak hours, and 10% discount will be given on Sundays and national holidays. However, no discounts will be offered on WhatsApp QR code tickets. According to a BMRCL official, the highest hike on some routes could be up to 51.5%, while the lowest hike excluding the base fare would be 30%. After accounting for discounts on Sundays and off-peak hours, the net average hike would become 45%. Apart from this, even tourist day pass fares have been increased. A one-day tourist pass costs 300 rupees, a 3-day pass costs 600 rupees, and a 5-day pass costs 800 rupees. In each case, on returning the valid pass at the end of the journey, 50 rupees is refunded. Thus, the effective costs for these passes are 250 rupees, 550 rupees, and 750 rupees respectively. The fares were previously hiked in June 2017 after the completion of Namma Metro's Phase 1 to cover debt payment obligations, depreciation requirements, and manage rising operational expenditure. Ever since 2017, BMRCL said that the fare hike was inevitable. Between March 2017 and March 2024, over a span of 7 years, maintenance and administration expenses surged by 366%. Staff costs rose by 42% and energy costs increased by 34%. Also, within the next 5 years, BMRCL will have to make several loan repayments, which will keep increasing year after year. Till the financial year 2029-2030, BMRCL will have to pay 10,000 crore rupees in loan repayments. Similarly, due to aging assets, BMRCL will lose around 7,300 crore rupees in depreciation. Due to the following reasons, BMRCL has justified their fare hike, but were the new fares far too high? The huge fare hike had adversely affected the daily commuters of Namma Metro, who were complaining of hikes way beyond the planned 45%. On some sections, the prices almost doubled after the fare revision on 9th February. A commuter noted that the fare between Kengeri bus terminal and Hosahalli increased from 30 rupees to 60 rupees. Other commuters travelling along different routes also shared about the abnormal fare hike, from 33 rupees to 60 rupees between Kadugodi Tree Park and Bayyapannahalli, and from 36 rupees to 60 rupees between Banshankari and Trinity. When we compare the previous fares with the fares after fare revision, we can see an excessively high percentage of increase in fares, far above the promised 45%. As a result, passengers were discontent with Namma Metro's fare hike and ridership started falling. This graph shows the ridership of Namma Metro for 1 week each, before and after the fare hike. While before the fare hike, an average of 8.2 lakh people travelled on the metro, after the fare hike, the average ridership fell to 7.2 lakh people. Lots of criticism was received by BMRCL for the anomalies in fare revision, and Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah had to intervene as the state government was receiving criticism over the abnormal fare hike. Due to public backlash and intervention of Karnataka CM, BMRCL held two emergency meetings on 12th and 13th March. In these meetings, to review the anomalies in fare hike, it was decided that commuters will be charged based on the number of stations that they are travelling. The distance between two stations, according to this new system, will be considered as 1 kilometer regardless of the actual distance. The BMRCL Managing Director M. Maheshwar Rao attributed the abnormal increases to sudden jumps in fare zones. For example, consider the journey between Mahatma Gandhi Road and Bayyapanahalli. Since these stations are 6.7 km away, according to the old system, it fell in the fourth zone of 6 to 8 km because of the extra 0.7 km. Hence, a commuter would have to pay 40 rupees. However, since Bayyapanahalli is 5 stations away from MG Road, according to the new system, it will fall in the third fare zone of 5 to 6 stations. Hence, the commuter must now pay 30 rupees. This new system came into effect on February 14. If we add up all the possible fare combinations spanning across all the 68 stations, the total number of fare matrices amounts to 4,624. Out of these 4,624 fare matrices, there were abnormal increases in 600 stretches. These issues were rectified and fares were lowered on these stretches. The maximum fare hike on all the stretches was capped at 71%. Let us now consider the previously mentioned examples. In between Kengeri bus terminal and Hosahalli metro stations, the fare had initially increased from 30 rupees to 60 rupees on 9th February, a 100% increase. However, after revising the fares on 14th February, the fare came down to 50 rupees, a 67% increase compared to the original fare of 30 rupees. However, in the Banshankari to Trinity section, in which fares were increased from 36 rupees to 60 rupees, no change was made. This is because the increase percentage was 66% and not higher than 71%. BMRCL expected that after making these changes, people will come back to using the Namma Metro. However, it didn't have a significant impact in increasing the ridership. Rather, commuters were protesting the unjust fare hike. On 15th February, the Bangalore Metro Commuters Association staged a protest in Freedom Park. They said that the fare hike forces people to use their two-wheelers or other modes of transport. A political blame game erupted between the BJP leading the central government and Congress leading the state government, who were blaming each other for the fare hike. Although divided by parties, they all had one demand, that is the complete rollback of fares. But the fares are not under BMRCL's control. Then who actually decides the fares? Like all other metro corporations in India, BMRCL operates under the Metro Railways Operation and Maintenance Act 2002. According to Section 34 of the Act, whenever fares are to be fixed or revised, the central government can constitute a Fare Fixation Committee for the same. The Fare Fixation Committee will consist of a chairman or chairperson and 2 other members. The chairperson of the committee must be or must have been a judge of the High Court. Among the other 2 members, the central government nominates 1 member and the state government nominates the other. BMRCL wrote a letter to the Union government requesting for forming the Fare Fixation Committee. The committee was headed by Justice R. Tharani, a retired justice of the Madras High Court. The central government nominated Satinder Pal Singh, who is the additional secretary of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, and the state government nominated E.V. Ramana Reddy, a retired IAS officer from Karnataka, to the Fare Fixation Committee. The Fare Fixation Committee began functioning on September 16, 2024 with a 3-month deadline. After detailed discussions and assessments, the committee submitted its final report on December 16, 2024, which suggested revising fares based on the distance between the two stations according to these slab rates. As previously mentioned, BMRCL implemented this fare system from 9th February, but this led to certain anomalies in fare calculation. If you think about it, BMRCL could have made changes to the fares to rectify these anomalies. They could have rolled back the initial fare from criticism from the public and the governments. But they did not. Why is that? It is because, according to Section 37 of the Metro Railways Act 2002, the recommendations of the Fare Fixation Committee are legally binding on BMRCL. In other words, BMRCL must follow the fares suggested by the Fare Fixation Committee. They are legally bound to do so. If they make any changes to the fares, it will be considered a violation of the Act. So on one side, passenger discontent was growing and ridership was falling. On the other side, BMRCL was bound to follow the recommended fares. They could neither revise the hike nor change the slabs. The only choice they had was to change the criteria of calculating fares based on the number of stations travelled instead of kilometers. They considered the distance between two stations as 1 kilometer so that the fares remained the same while rectifying the anomalies. This came into effect on February 14. I hope that till now you have understood why the fares were hiked and who decided the fares. But how have people reacted to this? Many people think that Namma Metro should be in Bengaluru for public good and not for making profits. According to them, it is the government's obligation to provide affordable and seamless public transport to its citizens. The burden of revenue shouldn't be put on the citizens. Many such regular commuters who had anticipated the fare hike in January itself came together to make their voices heard. This marked the birth of the Bengaluru Metro Commuters Association, or BMCA. Growing from just 10 members on January 16, the BMCA group turned into a full-fledged movement with 2,000 supporters across multiple WhatsApp groups. Their main mission was to demand an immediate revision of the fare hike. In fact, BMCA launched online and offline petitions and campaigned at major metro stations. Within days, more than 10,000 signatures were collected. The community's efforts were recognized by Karnataka CM Siddaramaiah, who wrote on X that the commuters' interests must be safeguarded, and as a result, BMRCL rectified the anomalies in fare revision on February 14. However, people are not happy with just a marginal reduction in the hike ticket rates. Many people have been forced to switch to their two-wheelers or cars because their round-trip travel costs have nearly doubled. When complaints were raised that the metro is unaffordable for many, a BMRCL official simply told them to use the bus. In some cases, the metro hike has forced parents to rethink their children's schooling options. Following the recent fare hike, parents shared that they now need to spend at least 4,000 rupees per month to allow their children to travel to schools by metro. One parent told that even if school is just for 8 months, in a year they would have to spend 32,000 in travel expenses. This has forced them to apply for a transfer certificate and apply for admission in a nearby school. Even college students have felt the pinch. One student shared that since her fare has increased from 28 rupees to 48 rupees, she isn't able to afford the increased costs and is looking for a seat at a college closer to her home. The hike has also affected daily commuters and workers. A commuter said that he is worried about his future. He shared that the prices of essential commodities have already skyrocketed, thus a 100% increase in transport cost has increased the burden for daily commuters. It is clear that the fare hike has affected everyone, including students, parents, college-goers, daily workers, and employees. Protests have been staged and conventions have been held, in which a panel of experts and activists criticized the fare hike. The panel called for affordable, accessible, and well-planned public transport. In fact, even an urban development department official admitted that while Namma Metro is an essential public transport, but it is not the lifeline of the entire city, a status which Delhi Metro has achieved. But what is the reason behind Delhi Metro's success? Delhi Metro was led under the visionary leadership of E. Sreedharan. He was the managing director of Delhi Metro from 1995 to 2012. He was known for isolating his projects from political pressures and completing the construction of all sections on or before their target dates, within their respective budgets. Due to his success in executing the completion of Delhi Metro, he is known as the Metro Man of India. You may be wondering why I am talking about E. Sreedharan. It is because he has also termed Namma Metro's fare hike as very steep and given valuable suggestions for Namma Metro regarding its fares. According to Sreedharan, the rule of thumb for fixing metro fares is that they should be 1.5 times the non-AC bus fare. Any increase beyond this will discourage passengers from using the metro. They will have to use other modes of transport including scooters, cars or buses, either because they cannot afford the higher fares or as a mark of protest against the fare hike. As a result, even the metro will suffer losses due to the decrease in the number of passengers. Let us now compare the BMTC bus fares with BMRCL's metro fares. We'll consider different distances and see what is the fare of a non-AC bus to cover that distance. We'll multiply it by 1.5 and check whether 1.5 times the non-AC bus fare is equal to the metro fare for covering the same distance or not. The non-AC bus fare for 2 kilometers is 6 rupees and 1.5 times 6 rupees is 9 rupees. According to Sreedharan, even BMRCL's fare for covering this distance should be 9 rupees, but it is 10 rupees, which is 11% more than 9 rupees. Similarly, for covering 4 kilometers, the BMTC bus fare is 12 rupees. 1.5 times 12 is 18 rupees, but the metro fare for 4 kilometers is 20 rupees, which is 11% more than 18 rupees. And for covering 6 kilometers, the BMTC bus fare is 18 rupees. 1.5 times that is 27 rupees, but the metro fare for 6 kilometers is 30 rupees, which is again 11% more than 27 rupees. Till here, BMRCL's new fares are 11% more than what it should be. The difference is not a lot. However, as the distance will increase, even this difference percentage will increase. For covering 8 kilometers, BMTC's bus fare is 23 rupees. 1.5 times 23 rupees is 34.5 rupees. But the metro fare for 8 km is 40 rupees, which is 16% more than 34.5 rupees. Even 16% more is acceptable. However, when distance becomes 10 kilometers, while the BMTC bus fare remains 23 rupees and 1.5 times 23 rupees is 34.5 rupees, the metro fare for 10 kilometers is 50 rupees, which is 45% more than 34.5 rupees. I hope you've gotten an idea of the trend. Now I'll display the values for covering 12 kilometers, 16 kilometers, 22 kilometers, 26 kilometers and 32 kilometers respectively. You can pause the video here and understand the data if you wish to. You will observe here that the difference between 1.5 times the BMTC bus fares and the metro fares is huge. 60 to 70% in some stretches and 100% for far distances, that is double the price. If the fares are so high, of course people will be inconvenienced. Just as E. Sreedharan said, passengers will opt for other modes of transport, causing a decline in ridership for BMRCL. According to an article posted on February 8, before the fares were hiked, BMRCL expected only a 1 to 2% fall in daily ridership. However, the daily ridership dropped by 10% to 13% in reality, according to an article posted on February 18, 9 days after fares were hiked. This graph that I have previously shown also indicates the declining ridership. E. Sreedharan was right. When he was asked whether the Fare Fixation Committee's decision is binding on the metro, he said that it was clear that BMRCL has not presented the facts correctly to the committee. Lastly, E. Sreedharan said that BMRCL should explore additional revenue streams and focus on commercializing metro properties. According to him, non-fare revenue should contribute at least 25% of total ticket revenue. He also shared that in Delhi, it is 35% of the passenger revenue. These were Sreedharan's comments and suggestions regarding Namma Metro's fare hike. The fare hike has not only affected the commuters but BMRCL management as well. Following the huge decline in ridership, BMRCL has decided to monitor passenger traffic for the next 15 to 20 days and prepare a report. Based on the findings of the report, the authorities can consider revising the fares. However, this won't be easy and won't happen quickly. Any decision on fare revision will be taken only after consulting with the Karnataka state government and after obtaining legal opinion. BMRCL clarified that the fare hike has been done as per law and any further changes would require legal approval, which can take time. Until then, they would not be able to come to a decision. Another BMRCL official stressed that the same fares would remain in force even when the metro network reaches 175 kilometers with the completion of Namma Metro phases 2, 2A and 2B, a target which BMRCL will hopefully achieve within the next 2 years. Regarding non-fare revenue, BMRCL is making several changes so that they can earn 100 crore rupees annually through non-fare revenue, about 10% of the total fare revenue compared to the earlier 7%. They will do so by providing spaces for advertisements, retail spaces in metro stations, and by giving semi-naming rights. Initially, 10 metro trains will carry exterior advertisements. Officials have confirmed that the windows of trains will not be covered by advertisements, and depending on the advertisers' requirements, the trains will be fully or partially wrapped. BMRCL expects to generate 25 crore rupees revenue from train ads. Also, BMRCL has recently invited bids to lease advertising spaces inside all metro stations except the Mantri Square Sampige Road station. It is offering 200 to 1400 square feet space for both static and digital ads at concourse and platform levels. BMRCL expects to generate 30 crore rupees additional revenue from advertisements inside stations. Apart from this, BMRCL plans to lease out 75 retail locations and earn 15 crore rupees in key stations, including Majestic, Yashwantpur, Trinity, Indiranagar, MG Road, Guruguntepalya, Jayanagar, Lalbagh and other stations. Additionally, BMRCL will offer semi-naming rights or co-branding rights at 67 of its metro stations. It hopes to generate a revenue of 30 crore rupees annually, and bids will open on 4th April for the same. To summarize, by train advertisements, ads inside stations, retail spaces at stations and semi-naming rights, BMRCL plans to generate 100 crore rupees in non-fare revenue. It has been a month since Namma Metro's fare hike, and while BMRCL's reasons for the revision may be valid, the increased fares remain too steep for common commuters. This has impacted students, office-goers and daily wage workers, forcing many to opt for cheaper alternatives, which has in turn worsened road traffic. The resulting drop in ridership has prompted BMRCL to reconsider the fares, but a rollback will take time. Hopefully, the newly formed Bangalore Metro Commuters Association can effectively pressure the government and BMRCL to expedite the process within legal frameworks. And that brings us to the end of this video. I'll keep you updated on any further changes in fares. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts on the fare hike in the comments below. Thank you for watching.